Hello everyone and welcome to Sunup. I'm Lyndall Stout. Oklahoma wheat producers are working around late spring rains and thunderstorms as they try to get combines in the fields. We'll have more a little bit later in the show on how the quality of this year's crop is looking. But first, Sunup's Curtis Hare catches up with Dr. Oliveira Silva to see how far along producers are with harvest.
Well, with all the rains that we've been getting here and there, so it's being a little bit slow. Would say we are about 30% harvest. Maybe by the end of this week we'll be more advanced, hopefully. Yields, you know, as usually that's how it goes. We started cutting our southern plots, and yields have been favorable. Good test weight, good protein. In some cases where the wheat was ready, the ground took a while for us to cut, then we are seeing some decline on test weight. But overall, it's being a stop and go, but I think hopefully we'll be moving more from now on.
So what about in those areas that were looking pretty rough in regards to precipitation? Did that rain help at all in regards to their crop, and just depending on, I guess it depends on where out in the development the crop was?
Yeah, so the rain, the earlier the crop was, or I guess the less developed that crop was, the more beneficial that rain was to our wheat. And so we could see an impact, a positive impact of that rain, especially for grain filling, for in some cases where plants were still at flowering, so that rain came in a good time. So we are seeing good impact of that rain. I'm very surprised with the yields that we are seeing. So of course, we didn't cut as many fields this year just because a lot of fields didn't make it. But the ones that were hanging in there got that rain in May. We are seeing good yields considering the conditions we had.
Well, that's really good news. You know, for those producers who are, you know, getting these rains, they're hitting pause on the harvest. Are you hearing any sprouting issues pop up?
Yeah, so I haven't heard any issues yet with sprouting. Last year we did have some issues at Chickasha and El Reno, so we'll stay, we'll look at it and pay attention to that. And if producers are curious about their varieties, they can go to our last year's data on our website and see what are the varieties that are less prone to sprouting, just because last year we had some heavy infestations in some of the locations, and we did some analysis, we did some ratings, so they can see that on our results last year.
So what type of environment is really conducive for sprouting in wheat?
So you would be, wheat's already matured, we start getting all that rain, very humid environment. If we get cloudy days, so that's where we start seeing. Now in the forecast we see very high temperatures, so I'm reluctant to say if that would have an effect. So last year when we got a lot of sprouting was more of those cloudy days, very humid, and a lot of rain when the wheat was already matured. So we'll have to see what the weather does, but it's just good to pay attention, especially if they're trying to take that somewhere, so it's good to pay attention to that.
And you mentioned last year's data from the variety trials, but you're actually getting pretty close to having this year's variety trial data out as well.
Yes, actually we already have some results posted, so really invite producers to look on our website. And we already have Altos, Walters, we should have by the end of this week Chickasha, Apache, but we should have the locations as soon as we harvest, we get into it. And this year we have a very efficient group. We have yield and protein data already posted at the same time. So when producers go look at it, they will be able to see yield, test weight, and protein in all those results.
And yeah, and what's great about that too is it's not just yield and protein. Like you mentioned, you could see which variety trials were tended to sprout earlier than other ones, right?
Yeah, so anything that we see that is out of place, let's say we saw some leaf rust infestations later in the season at Chickasha, and Dr. Owen went there, rated the trial, so we'll put those ratings in our results so they can see. So anything that we see there in those trials, let's say lodging, if we see sprouting or anything, we'll include there so they can see the differences among varieties.
All right, thanks Amanda. We'll check back with you in just a couple weeks. Amanda Silva, small grain specialist here at Oklahoma State University. And if you'd like a link to the variety trial data, just go to our website, sunup.okstate.edu.